Hello friends, it's Dezel from MyVineSpot.com. I'm coming to you today with a quick sip of the Kluge Estate Sparkling Rosé 2007. Now, Kluge Estate is located in Charlottesville, Virginia, which will also host the Wine Bloggers Conference 11 next year. So hopefully at some point during our festivities, we can all kick things off and toast with one of the Kluge sparkling wines. Now, Kluge is owned by Patricia Kluge and William Moses. Their wines have been served at White House state dinners. And since the beginning, they've used wine consultant, world-renowned Michelle Roland. Now, let's take a look at the label of the Kluge Estate 2007 Sparkling Rosé. Now, if you can see that, we see that this says Brut. So Brut tells me that I won't get any perceptible sweetness out of this wine. Brut means that you have a fairly dry sparkling wine. Now, for my friends that want their wines a little sweeter, you will look at it extra dry. I know that doesn't make sense, but that's how it goes. We go from dry with Brut to extra dry to sec, S-E-C, to what I would call a dessert-style sparkling wine with demi-sec. So that's a little lesson on whether you want your sparkling wine dry or whether you want it sweet. Now, Kluge, in addition to the sparkling rosé, they make three others. They make a Blanc de Blanc, they make a Blanc de Noir, and they make a Kluge Estate Sparkling Reserve. So, I think Kluge really excels with their sparkling wine program. All four of the sparkling wines are made in the Méthode Champenoise style. So, this is the process that's used in the region of Champagne, France. Used to make some of the most high-end, high-quality, most complex champagnes in the world. So we can't call it champagne because we're not in the Champagne region of France, but we can use the grapes that they use and we can use the process that they use. So in Champagne they use Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, and Chardonnay. This wine is, I believe, it's 95% Chardonnay and 5% Pinot Noir. In Champagne they use the Méthode Champenoise. Here we use the Méthode Champenoise. We call it the Méthode Traditionnelle, or you can see the classic method, or you could call it the traditional method. Either way, it's a labor-intensive method, where the rewards of this wine is usually a very complex wine, very high-quality sparkling wine. So in keeping with the quick sip, let's go ahead and take a pour of this wine. Right off the back, we see the bubbles dancing, and we see a very attractive salmon, light salmon pink color of this wine. So, in keeping with the quick sip, the one thing I want to note is that we usually will do a swirl and sniff, but with a sparkling wine or a champagne, we don't want to swirl. You can swirl if you want to, but look, these bubbles have been waiting a long time to be released from this bottle, so let's not mess up their action. They're in the glass dancing, they're showing off for us. We don't want to mess it up for them. And we have the CO2 that brings the aromas right up to us. So we don't have to swirl sparkling wine or champagne. We just have to dive our nose in the glass. And right off the back of this wine, I'm getting a lot of yeasty qualities in this wine. A lot of yeastiness, nuttiness, like spiced toasted bread. And behind that, I'm getting a lot of the red fruit, a lot of the strawberries and raspberry, bright strawberry, bright raspberry, but definitely a lot of yeasty qualities in this wine. And this probably comes from, I think this wine was aged on its lees for 1 to 2 years, so we call it surly aging. So what this means is that the grape particles, sediment, and dead yeast cells was kept in. I know that doesn't sound really attractive, but once removed, it's very attractive in the resultant wine. But the grape particles, the sediment, the dead yeast cells was kept in contact with the wine, and that imparts something into the mouthfeel of the wine. It imparts something into the texture. It heightens the texture, gives it the creaminess. It imparts something into the aroma profile and flavor profile of a wine. That's where I'm picking up the yeastiness and nuttiness from, probably. It's probably going to transfer to the palate too. But when you get that out of a sparkling wine or a champagne, that probably comes from the wine being aged on its lees for an extensive amount of time, usually 1 to 2 years. I think in vintage champagne, it's required 3 years. So let's give this wine a sip. So the aromas to me, they transfer right to the palate. I'm getting the yeastiness, I'm getting the toastiness, the soft spiced toast, I'm getting the nuttiness, almost like a walnuts, almost. I'm also getting the bubbles, moonwalking, gliding, and dancing all across my palate, just releasing bursts of bright red fruit. So this wine is yeasty, yet it's an elegant wine. It's a very refreshing wine too. So the fact that this is a brut, I think this can pair well with a wide range of foods, from breakfast to dinner, to picnic, to sipping it on its own. I'm planning on having a pulled pork sandwich with some southern potato salad with this wine, probably. So this wine retails for, I believe it's $28. And Kluge is widely distributed. So if you can't make it to the farm shop, the tasting room, to find this wine, you could probably find the sparkling rosé and other Kluge wines in your local Total Wine or your local wine shop. I've seen Kluge wines in Shoppers and Safeway. Let's get a look at the label again. Kluge Estate 2007 Brut Sparkling Rosé. Until we meet again, friends, cheers. Happy sipping. Bye-bye.
Now we're gonna be face to face.